Hello, hello. Welcome to, the live stream here tonight. I'm not sure how this is going to completely play out. I am doing it from my hotel room. Just let me know how's everything look. If you're here in the comment section, let me know how my audio is doing. I do not have a specific microphone that I usually have, just using the MacBook's iPhone. So just let me know if everything looks or sounds good is, I think, the most important thing for a live stream. But also just let me know if generally speaking everything looks decent. I just have like a little aperture light here, and so I'm just kind of winging it. Like I said, I'm in a hotel room in Ho Chi Minh City. Hopefully the internet will hold up. So far, this it's not really a hotel; it's like an apartment complex type thing. Anyways, so far it's done pretty good. If you are here and you're watching and you're hopefully enjoying so far, hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people. We'll get a bigger conversation going. We do have a few topics today. One is about the Canon R5 C, a camera which I have, and it's finally getting some love from Canon. The other stuff we have to go over is about the Nikon Z9 firmware update, which is a somewhat substantial update, but it's a 4.0 update, and I'm not sure if it deserves the 4.0 monical from what I've actually seen of the update, and I would like to get everybody else's opinion about it. We will also go over, and we'll kind of do this. First off, we'll go over to like Sony Alpha rumors and all the different rumor sites, and we will see if there's happen to be like an update or how's that going on. Let me know, like I said, how the audio's doing. Let me know, am I losing focus? Am I too dark here? I can maybe bump up the ISO just a bit, but I didn't really want too much mixed lighting here, and so I would just thought maybe go with a slightly um, less, I don't know, maybe a less pretty setup. But just let me know if it's too dark. I will adjust a few things. Maybe I could go ahead and do that. I'm kind of feeling like it might be a little too dark. All right, let me see. Hopefully that looks a little bit better. I'll pop the ISO just a bit. Hopefully it will work out. I am using S-Cinetone, which I usually do not do, but I figured I would give it a shot. So the native ISOs are quite a bit lower than when you're actually in S-Log 3, which was what I usually use, except for live streams. Usually it's just no profile. Anyways, let me go ahead and go over quickly to the chat and see if any comments are coming in. This is a fairly, I would say, relaxed show. I like to take comments from everybody. And I like to talk and see how everything goes. He said, okay, we got Film Kit. It says, audio is fine, image is mysteriously moody. Yeah, it is slightly moody. I got the, what do they call it? The Rembrandt lighting. So it's going on one side. And I got even more so. Like, I think if I would have went up a little bit more, that would have been a little bit better. But anyways, it's kind of what it is. Like I said, being in a hotel room or an apartment. I didn't really have all my lights set up, and so anyways, I did want to go live stream because I enjoy live streams and I enjoy interacting with everybody. And yeah, so that is what we're doing and where we are. Yeah, I appreciate you being here, Film Kit, and I appreciate you giving me the feedback about the audio and the moody lighting. um, all right, so let me quickly go over here and hopefully more people will flood in. Usually that's the case about 4, 5, 10 minutes in. We'll start getting more and more people, more and more comments. If you are here and you're joining, hit that like button. It gets it out to more people faster, and we can have a more dynamic episode or more dynamic live stream with conversation. Quickly, usually what I like to do first is just to do like a refresh on the rumor sites. Sometimes we get lucky and we get some like breaking news right away. So we will see if we get lucky. We'll see how it works out. All right. So quickly, let me go over here and go ahead and refresh and see what happens. Okay, so this is going to be one of our main stories. I'm going to talk about the Canon R5 C, but I'll get into that later. This is another interesting one. I'll just quickly touch on this since it is considered like a CR1. I don't necessarily give it much credence. Um, this is a weird way I'm doing things right now, FYI, because I usually have two monitors, but I'm trying to make this work with just the one. So if there's some technical difficulties, forgive me, because that's probably a good possibility that that will happen. Okay, but this right here, if true, will be huge news. So Sigma will launch two RF mount lenses to start. This is a CR1. It says there's obviously been ongoing conversation about when Canon would open up the RF mount for companies like Sigma and Tamron. While we've had a confirmation that Sigma has interest in making lenses for the RF mount, they have given no timeline. An unknown source has reached out a couple of times about the topic and seems pretty confident. Is that showing up on everybody's screen? Or is it just me? Um, man, this thing is jacked sometimes. I apologize. Give me just a second. Um, all right, so we're back, hopefully. Seem pretty confident that it will happen within the next 6 to 8 months. The source claims two lenses would initially be launched, a mid-range fast prime lens and a zoom lens of some kind. So I wonder if that would be like the 50, don't they have a 51.4 right now? It'd be a good little lens for Canon. It's down here. It's funny. Just guessing, we think the following two lenses make sense. The 50 f1.4, I won't guess on art or contemporary. I'm pretty sure that it would be art, right? I assume. I don't think we'd see a fast wide angle prime from Sigma before Canon. Canon has also shown us over the decades they have no interest in making a 51.4. Sigma 17 to 50 at 2.8 OS DC. I think it's a fast for the RFS mount, which would be very needed. Any lenses that they can get to the RFS mount version for their APS-C lineup would be extremely, um, I guess, warranted and wanted by a lot of people. So that being said, I think that that would be a win if that is actually going to happen. So since this is CR1, I don't want to like super give a whole lot of credence to it, and I don't want to like just go over everything, but I do hope that this is true. Now, when they say they're going to open up the mount, there's another thing here. I mean, technically, it seems like Canon has been straight up blocking third party from coming in, or at least as of recently, they did that big lawsuit with I think it was Sam Yang and one of the others. Um, but when they say open up the mount, what ideally would happen, and I just kind of feel like it won't happen, is like, for example, Sony, the E mount is like a straight up open mount. So it means that their software is basically shared. It's an open source code, I guess you would call it. I'm not extremely technical, but it's an open mount, meaning that third party lenses have access to pretty much all the features. I think as of recently with some of like the focus stuff, like Sony seems to be kind of holding that a little closer to the vest. But that being said, overall, third party lenses tend to almost function as well as native lenses for the Sony E mount, which is amazing because you get Tamron lenses that are really good for like maybe less than half of usually the Sony counterpart. You have Sigma lenses that are usually about like 70% as far as expensive, and they can be pretty incredible. I had the Sigma 1.4 or 85 1.4 for a while. That prime was incredible. You could pretty much see in the dark with the A7S3 and that 1.4. But the issue, I didn't want to keep in that lens because I primarily right now am doing travel videography type stuff, and it just wasn't practical to use a lens or a prime as much as I would have liked. So right now I'm mostly I got the Tamron 35 to 150 f2 to 2.8, so that works better. Anyways, I hope that this happens. I hope it's completely opening up the mount because I think Canon needs it, and I think Canon consumers need it because Canon lenses are excellent, but they're extremely pricey. They do have great backwards compatibility with their adapter, but I still think that having some native lenses, or rather native to the RF mount from third party, will be extremely welcomed addition. All right. I hate that that keeps showing up, man. This is really bumming me out. Usually it doesn't with the second screen, but anyways. All right, so let me go ahead here and, like I said, if you're here, hit that like button. We'll get this out to more people, and we'll have a more engaging conversation. Let me quickly go over to Sony Alpha Rumors, and let's see if we happen to get lucky on Sony Alpha Rumors. Go ahead and do a refresh. So far, nothing spectacular. Oh, I do have these are usually pretty good. This is a good deal on the SanDisk, a 4 terabyte Extreme Pro portable SSD V2, which means that it's extremely fast. I think I bought it. I mean, it's never like $1,000 from my experience. I've never really seen it up there, even though it's supposedly the regular price. But I've seen it to like $400 to $500. I have not seen it at $300. So this is, to me, for a 4 terabyte that's extremely fast. That 2,000 megabytes, I think, read and write speeds. It's pretty excellent. This one also looks really good as well, but they're a little bit slower at this point. But it still could function as like a SSD that you even edit off of. That's what I use mine for. Wild Rumor, okay, I don't really care. Well, an 18 1.4 G Master lens. It's still considered a wild rumor, and when Sony Alpha Rumor says something is a wild rumor, it's an extremely wild rumor. They do have a pole. I would buy and then they have the option of a 16 to 35 G Master 2, which 2.8, an 85 1.2 G Master, an 18 1.4, or none. Personally, I'd be hard pressed to not buy a 16 to 35 G Master 2. I mean, if it's even within reason of price. I love the 16 to 35 millimeter range. I have the 15 to 35 with the Canon RF mount, and that was excellent, especially when I was using Canon as my primary. I never really want to get rid of that lens, but right now I usually use Sony as my primary, and the only lens that was affordable and in the price range, and also within the weight range, was the Tamron 17 to 28. And so it's a decent enough lens, but I miss that extra 17 millimeters or 7 millimeters on the far end for sure. And I would like to get it a little bit wider because if I had a 16 and 35, I would be excellent, especially with clear image zoom. I mean, it's just you get 1.5 on top of that. Basically, give yourself another 17 millimeters. That's pretty clean out. So you'd be getting yourself around like a 52. Anyways, I love that, and I would buy that. But let me know down below if any of those interest you. All right. Let me go ahead and see. Like I said, this is kind of impromptu, and I'm having technical difficulties, so I hope nobody's like bailed out. But if they have, I mean, I understand. I can't hate on anybody for it. And this is kind of like a little bit a little bit worse of a setup than usual. I did just get a like, so I appreciate the like. Yeah, the more likes I get, the more people come in and engage with the conversation. Let me quickly go back to the comments. So far, besides Film Kit, which I appreciate, nobody has thrown any comments this way. So I assume most people who are watching right now are just listening, or just are unable to chat, and that's completely fine too. If you're here and just listening, hit that like button. It brings more people to it, and we can actually have a better conversation. All right, let me go ahead and jump over to Nikon rumors, and there is a main story that I'll talk about here too, but I'm not going to talk about it right away because I mean, we got to hold things out, have main events. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is that main story that just came out. It's about the Nikon Z9 update version 4.0 release. We'll talk about that, but from what I've seen, I'm not extremely um, enthusiastic about it. I definitely do not think, I guess we'll talk about it more later, but I definitely do not think that it compares to like the 3.0 firmware update, which added all kinds of crazy features. So I don't know. It just didn't feel, I mean, there's a lot here, but it didn't feel like a straight up 4.0 update, especially compared to like their 2.0 and their 3.0. So yeah, it's just talking about the same update here. Yeah, so there's nothing big here at Nikon that I'm seeing. Let me go ahead and go over to Fuji. All right, see if we got anything good from Fuji. Camera cloud, don't care. I don't think anybody cares that much. Most of the time, it doesn't work out properly with the cloud stuff. I wish it was better. New firmware updates for pretty much everything. We'll see if it, I don't think any of them are very substantial from what I've heard. Tear down, nothing substantial here. I mean, you're super techie. You can go read that on your own, but I don't think that that's something that is worth going over. And we'll go to one more rumor site and we will see, because sometimes mirrorless rumors, mirrorless rumors has more. Okay, this could be cool. So weird hints, Panasonic S1R successor coming soon. So this is interesting. I don't know what is the S1R. I don't remember really what that was. So was that like a high resolution version? I'm assuming that's what it is. There are two hints at the SR Mark II. S1R Mark II might be coming in 2023. The S1R will only be available in 6 to 8 months. Will only be available in 6 to 8 months, according to B&H. I'm pretty sure it will be. According to B&H, okay, I got it. So the original one is only going to be available for the next 6 to 8 months. So it's kind of indicating that an S1R Mark II might be down the pike. And there has been a $700 price drop of the S1R by Amazon. So I don't think that there's much more information than that. I think they're just speculating based upon that little bit of information. So kind of making a little bit of a leap in my mind, but maybe it's true. I did hear from the Ordinary Filmmaker, Simon, the Ordinary Filmmaker. He had a whole big thing talking about the S1H Mark II and said that it was going to be coming fairly soon. But we haven't heard anything. Everything went dark. At the time, he was like saying that it was like coming right around the corner from some trusted sources. Do not believe at all that he was like making that up. I think he at least thought that they were trusted sources, or the trusted sources just, maybe plans have changed. But the specs that he was mentioning about the S1H Mark II, I mean, that camera would be very, very tempting. Yeah, I would like that. On July 12th, Sony is likely to announce the new A6700, which is extremely good news for a lot of people who have been waiting for Sony to announce that camera. From what we've heard about this camera, it is likely to be the same sensor as the FX30. I don't know what the frame rate speed will be. They say that the body will be, from what I've heard, it's maybe going to be similar to like the A7 C. So slightly different body. It's still going to have like the EVF off to the side. So I'm not exactly sure how great this is going to be, but hopefully Sony steps up their game. Oh, also there's supposed to be quite a bit of AI features, which is not necessarily a shock, but even the AI features that were in the ZV1, ZV-E1? Okay. Yeah, that whatever the one had the A7S3 sensor, supposedly it has those as well. Okay, but it says after the Sony A6700, we will get this the A7 C Mark II, and later the A9 III, the world's fastest camera. So yeah, we'll see. Might be happening. Let me go ahead and go back to the comments, and then we'll go back to the comments and see how things working out. Hopefully, some people are commenting in, talking. They're not, but you're watching, so I appreciate you watching. Hit that like button if you can. Get this out to more people. Let's go ahead and go to one of the main topics that I'll talk about here. Oh, Edward, so many good cameras at the moment. I might take a couple of months and just rent a couple and see what I like. Yeah, that's really a smart move at this point. I will say though, a lot of times, unless you know that a camera is like about to get an update. So, for example, if you're suspecting that like a camera is out now, that like the next version of it is coming out soon, I wouldn't recommend this. But for example, one of the things that I did, back, I guess when I first wanted to go up to full frame, so it's been a while. It was right after the A7R 4 came out. And that was like the first new Sony camera for a while, and I was wanting to step up the full frame. I really wanted more of a video-centric camera, but the A7S III was, always elusive at that time. So that was more of the camera that I wanted. But I did know that, hey, this A7R5 is going to be a huge step up from what I had, or sorry, 4. I had a Fujifilm X-T20, which is just APS-C camera, which I feel like I still got some pretty good video out of that and images. That being said, the A7R4 was much better overall, more capable camera. I went ahead and bought that like right after it was announced. I might have even pre-ordered it. And the reason that I did that, and it actually worked out really well for me, is I was able to keep that camera for about 6 months, and then I was able to sell it for like maybe a $500 to $600 loss, which isn't bad. And I actually purchased the Canon EOS R at the time, even though I was downgrading. It had a little bit better of what I was needing at the time, as far as like the video of the. I will say the video of the A7 EOS R, Canon EOS R, it was extremely underrated in my opinion. It still had some beautiful images you get out of it. The point I'm making is I was able to use that camera for about 6 or 7 months and lose about $600. If I was renting a camera like that, I would have lost a lot more money and it wouldn't have been mine. So I don't know. I do think that there's some value in doing something like that if you have the finances, or even if you can, do the interest-free stuff going on at B&H. You can usually get like a year free, or no interest as long as you pay it within a year. I don't know. I like to do that sometimes. It gives me the option to hold on to a camera longer. If I like it, I'll keep it. If I don't, I might lose about $600, but I get to keep it longer than I would have if I had been renting a camera. So unless you're like wanting to rent a lot of different cameras and maybe only give yourself like 2 or 3 weeks with them, because I'm pretty sure usually cameras are about. It's been a long time since I looked into renting a camera, but it's usually at least $100 a week, depending on the camera. If it's a much more expensive camera, to be much more than that. So the fact that you could get a camera for, maybe lose, let's say 600 to 800, but you could use it for 6 months or whatever. Like for example, you got the A7R5 at this point. It's a fairly new camera. It'll hold its value for a while. Or the Nikon Z8, and you could hold that value to hold it for a while, and get that camera, use it for 6 months, probably sell it for maybe a $600 loss, which is $100 a month. So as long as you don't break it, yeah, I don't know. It's just something, food for thought. All right, let me go ahead and go over to the. If that's a terrible idea, just let me know in the comments, or if that sounds like something fun. I've enjoyed it. All right, let me go over here. I'm going to go ahead and go into one of the main topics here. So the Canon EOS R5 C is finally getting a substantial firmware updated. It's been very direly needed for a while. It has some really odd quirks about that camera. I had that camera Haven't used it near as much as I would like to, because just some of the stuff on it is bad. But I do like the camera overall. I do think the potential of the camera is great, but Canon kind of, well, it hasn't been getting the update love that like the R5 had gotten, and the R6 Mark II has been getting, or even the R3. So it just hasn't had any substantial updates until about now. So I'm going to go ahead and go over to Canon Rumors, and we will go over and see what this update entails, and maybe it will change some people's mind on whether or not this could be a possible camera for them. Let me know if you think that it is as substantial of an update as I tend to think it is. There's some things I still wish they had added, but let me go ahead and go straight over. All right. Ooh, man, this one screen setup is killing me. All right. Man, this is, sorry folks. I am not having the best time here with the way things are working out. Definitely some technical difficulties doing this from a hotel room without a secondary screen. So yeah, forgive me for that. All right, so this is the update from the Canon R5 C. It says 0.4, or sorry, 1.0.41. So this isn't even like, they're not giving it like a 1.5, which I think a 1.5 could come and be a pretty huge enhancement. We did hear a little bit about this before, but the fact that they're not giving it like a 1.5 or even like a 2 would be great. But I hope that some of the features that still feel like they're somewhat lacking could be incorporated in one of the other ones. So yeah, anyways, let's go ahead and go over it. So the following features will enabled when the following lenses are attached. So some of this is just kind of lens stuff is happening. Displaying metadata such as the model name and the focal distance of the lens attached. So these are cinema lenses, which is great because this is, a cinema hybrid camera, but definitely cinema's in the name, hence the C. So it looks like they're really stepping up their game. Displaying T numbers, support for peripheral illumination correction and chromatic lens aberration correction, support for dual pixel CMOS autofocus. So these are just kind of updates for certain lenses here. So these are some updates as well with this. So I'm going to go down here. This because without some of the lenses, it gives a little bit more information. Enables left right switching with one touch when using magnification when recording 8K RAW with VR lens attached. Okay, so again, that's it's niche. Let's just call it that. Improves. Enables magnification during 8K MP4 recording, not available for HDMI out. Improves switching time between video and photo mode, which is a good one because it is a little bit slow to switch over, and I've known at times that I'd really wish it would switch over faster. That's a good thing. This is huge. Adds power saving mode. So I wonder how this is going to work out from some of the stuff that it said in the past that it was going to be in 4K, so it was going to save power in 4K, so it means that maybe the 8K wasn't going to be affected too much. But the biggest problem with this camera, and I'm hoping that that's what they're primarily addressing. This is so obnoxious, I swear. Usually I have two monitors, so that'll pop up on my screen, and it's not a big deal. But now it's popping up on everything. All right, so switching. Oh, sorry. The biggest issue with this camera is the menus and the operating system of the firmware for cinema firmware that they actually run on this camera. So if they can just give better battery life, like when you're working in the menu section, I mean, that's the biggest thing. Of course, you know, as you're recording, it drains battery as well. But the biggest problem is if you're just fiddling around with the menus, I mean, you just see that bar just dropping fast. There's already been somewhat of a workaround, slightly, and that has been to hit the play button, or so basically a preview button, so that you can like just look at the videos. If you hit that, it basically reset the battery, and so it kind of was like a power saving mode there. The issue is if you did that, then you didn't have full access to your menu system. So you were able to do that and still have like semi access, but you couldn't fool around with the full menus, and couldn't change everything around. So you would still have to flip over to the full menu to mess anything around. But it was a nice little workaround without having to switch off the camera all the time, just to press that button. You know, if you were filming out there and you didn't want the battery just running down and wanted to actually keep your camera on, that was a good hack. I think his name's Def Videographer or something like that, or photographer. He had that big hack. He's like all big on the Canon R5 C, so he taught me a lot about that camera. Um, Enhances clear scan resolution. Not exactly sure what that means. Yeah. Adds digital teleconverter function. So this is cool. A 1.5 to 2.5 and 3x. So one of the cool things, I'm wondering if this is, I'm guessing this is just cropping into the sensor. I mean, with 8K and even so you get downsampled 4K 60 in this camera. I mean, 3x in that is, I mean, it's still pretty substantial. So if it's 8K and you're able to 3x, so it says digital function. So if it's cropping into the sensor, that's maybe not as cool because they already have like an APS-C mode. Fun fact: in the Super 35 mode, you can actually get 6K out of this camera as well. So that's a little known nugget. But so if this is like a digital teleconverter, if this is like a clear image zoom, that could be really cool. But yeah, overall, if you can get even like zooming in, for example, if you zoom in 400% with an 8K sensor, then you're getting similar, I think, or I think it's 1080p, as basically full 1080p zooming in 4 times. So I don't know. I think that that's a cool feature. We'll see how it works in practice, but I can definitely see myself using that. Gosh, folks, I'm so sorry. Um, all right. So let me go ahead and go down here some more. Enables change of WFM size. So I think that's the wave. Yeah, the wave size. This has been an issue, to not be able to have like the different scopes and stuff to be able to move it around properly. And it had just basically a general preset, and they're fairly large, and you could just put it like different areas, but you aren't able to kind of like touch it and move it around like you could on like an Atmos. So this is cool. Um, Enables to change vector scope gain by touch. So I think that's something you essentially had to go in to the menus system and just like adjust it manually, and not able to do it actually like on the fly or on the main sys screen. So this is a big thing. Enables change of vector scope opacity. This is also cool because since it was so big and it's like right in your viewpoint, pretty big on the screen, if you can change the opacity where you're getting enough to be able to read the vector scope, but you can like still see through it, that again is huge. This is big because AI autofocus on this camera is not nearly as good as what has been in like the R5 proper, but it says enables tracking frame to change variable depending on subjects, enables to detect heads facing sideways or backwards, or in situations such as when wearing a helmet, enables a select face via control ring. So this is super cool. I'm glad to hear that this is coming. I do wonder if it's similar to, I think the C70 had a firmware update that was similar to this, But generally speaking, the R5 C firmware or autofocus has been better than the C70s. So even if it's similar functions, I would assume that it will work better. Add subject selection assignment function via control ring. This is adds Canon 709 BT 709 to gamma color space and custom picture settings. Okay, I'm not exactly sure. They already had that, I thought, or they had HDR, high dynamic range one, which is great. Okay, so anyways, I'm not going to go over all of it. I mean, I've already went over a vast majority of it. That being said, one of the big things that is missing here, I still think the autofocus probably can be improved. I would like to see like animal tracking autofocus. A lot of the things that the Canon R5 could do, I wish they could do that in video as well. The other big thing I would like to see added is I would like to see CLOG 2 in this camera. I do not know why it's not in this camera. I'm hoping that they will add it. They've kind of given like to me, it's still a BS answer, basically saying that you're not going to get really any more dynamic range out of having CLOG 2 because the sensor is maxed out at CLOG 3. But from everything that I've heard, CLOG 2 is just a better overall profile to color grade in, and it is flatter. So even if maybe you technically, maybe let's say for example, you could get, if you worked harder, the same amount of dynamic range out of CLOG 3. CLOG 2 would allow you, will probably be easier to maximize that dynamic range. That's how I would at least perceive it as in happening. So yeah, does this make this camera any more appealing to any of you? Let me know that all in the comment section below. Yeah, let's go over to the comments. Okay, so Edward Scott said, did you see that it looks as though Sigma will finally be coming to the RF mount? Yeah, I actually just went over that one. So I think maybe you didn't catch that. So you might have came in a little bit after I talked about it. But yeah, I did talk about that. It sounds like great news if true. But I will say that as of Canon rumors right now, they're saying that that's a CR1. So it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But it's not necessarily from a trusted source. So take that as you will. Hopefully it's true. That'd be great if it's true. Excuse me. It is 11:30, or I'll start 11:30, so it's 12:15 here at like, so it's past midnight in Vietnam. So yeah, a little bit tired. All right, let me go ahead and go over. I'm gonna briefly talk about this because this is the next main topic to go over. I'm not going to go as in detailed as I did talking about the Canon R5 C firmware because I do feel like it's, even though it's not like a 2.0 update, I do feel like it was more substantial. But be throwing in comments. Let me know what you think about the R5 C update. Is that even an interesting camera to you? I'm glad I got it. I wish I used it more though. I really got to say that, especially doing like run and gun stuff, I just find it tedious to have too much gear, and the autofocus and the battery very much so has kept me from using it as like a primary driver. So like Canon, or sorry, my A7S3 has just been my primary. I also really dig the dual native ISO being at 12,800. Of course, it's softer of an image, and I still think Canon's colors are amazing. Even though, I mean, the LUT that I can put on it and just get pretty much RE look out of it very close with the Phantom LUTs, so it's not that big of a deal. But I do love having that 12,800 ISO as your second base ISO. What I really do using this Sony A7S III is because when you're like travel videos and travel vlogging type stuff, you really do not have control the environments at all. And so you might, like, for example, we'll be going like into a temple or something like that. On the outside, it's extremely bright, but then when you jump inside, it's dark. It's a temple, and it's so pretty, and you want to get good video of it. But being able to quickly jump over to the 12,800, I keep on a filter. So like I'll have like this is I think a 1:5 from Nisi or whatever, like the color filter that I use, and I have a 1:5 on it, and I'm able to jump up to that 12,800 and bring it down with the filter, and it's just very clean overall, and I enjoy it. I just I still like I like the idea of the Canon, but it's funny I use that more as a stills like camera because of having pretty much an R5 there. But yeah, sorry, I don't mean to have a full tangent, but I do wish for some of these updates to really fix it, because I would like to feel like, oh, let me take out this camera and leave my A7S III here, or let that be my primary for a while just to enjoy it. But so far, I've mostly used it as just if I wanted to get like a landscape shot that's like extremely crisp, I'll 4K 60 downsampled from 8K is ma ma. I mean, wah. I can't even do it. But it's like I'm a little bit late, so my brain isn't working functioning properly. I'm gonna so Nikon Z9 has got a 4.0 firmware update. Now, whether or not it deserves that 4.0 I guess title is kind of to be determined, and I'm going to go over it and just talk about it. I'm not going to hit all the points because there is a lot of different stuff. I just don't necessarily know if it's substantial enough changes to warrant the 4.0, but I will let you be the judge of that for yourself. Sorry, folks. If you're watching this live, you are having not such a good experience, and I really do apologize for that. It's just this one screen is just not, it's not doing it. Sorry. All right. I do apologize. I'll, when I get back to my initial stuff, I'm hoping that hoping for things to be working better than what this is right now. This is pretty sad. I'm sorry. I would not fault anybody for leaving, unfortunately. But I appreciate everybody who's sticking around. I really do. I enjoy going live. I really want this to be like a live channel type thing from now on, hopefully. Anyways, all right. So here's some of the notes. User following software will be will need update. So the latest version. Okay, added auto capture. So this is maybe one of the more substantial stuff from what I can remember. The photo shooting menu. Users can select capture criteria for motion, the direction of the subject is moving, how far the subject is from the camera, and subject detection, whether or not a subject is given a type of detection, and the camera will take photographs automatically while it detects subjects that meet the select criteria. Note that the distance is available with the Nike I'm not going to say that, Z lenses, and may not function as expected when used with other lenses. So I'm thinking that means. So I think, okay, here's another thing. So the length of time the camera will continue to buffer frames before canceling shooting during the pre-release capture phase of the high-speed frame capture has been increased from 30 seconds to 300 seconds. So if I'm not mistaken, that's the way that the camera essentially is shooting photos even before you take pictures. So just in case you miss the shot, it kind of gives you a bit of like leeway. I think the Canon R7 did something similar to that, but it's only like a second and a half. And so 300 seconds, if this is true, are you like capturing 300 seconds It says pre-release capture phase. So I'm pretty sure that that's what this is. If that's true, I mean, it's super cool that camera is doing that. Um, so I may be wrong. Drop in the comment section below. Let me know if I am off on what that exactly means. But even if it's just increasing the buffer from 30 to 300 shots, that could seconds. That's huge because I mean it has Type C CF Express cards. So yeah, I mean I think you should be great with that, even if that's just the case. Added a large size option available for roll played by card in slot 2. Okay. Added new bracketing increments for use during auto bracketing with AE and flash bracketing. Auto flash bracketing selection, auto bracketing, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that that's anything that's super important. Video recording, add auto capture to video recording. Users can select capture criteria for motion. So again, this is kind of cool. So apparently, like if something's moving there and it's a subject and it starts to move, it'll automatically start like a motion detector almost. It'll automatically start videoing for you before you even hit video. So that's a cool feature. I will give it that. Yeah. Add low ISO sensitivity option to ISO sensitivity settings. So yeah, nothing much different there. A changed range of speeds available for high-res zooms, add slow motion video recording. So did I already have slow motion video recording? Huh. I wonder what that's about. Made changes to the select computer option, playback. Okay, controls. Add support for power zoom features, exposures, different playback customs. I'm kind of skimming it because it's to me some of this. I mean, some of this might be very big to you, but to me, some of it's just not as intriguing as other parts of it is. This is on Nikon Rumors. I think you can actually find it on the Nikon site as well, and you can go through it within detail. This is only on the Z9 as of now, but I can see a majority of this stuff coming to the Z8 as well. So this is cool. This is added focus distance information, distance display. I thought, and I'm missing it here. Okay, now here we go. Other changes. Improved the accuracy of 3D tracking for small, fast-moving subjects when auto. People, animal, or vehicle is chosen for autofocus subject detection, and no subject of the selected type is detected. Improved focus accuracy for dark, low light, contrast subjects. Improved focus locked on with flicker detection and low speed continuous release. Autofocus reliability, other improvement. Okay, improve the performance of auto white balancing during portrait photography. So some issue fixes. But that's huge if true. Like, I wonder how much of an improvement the autofocus is because, you know, from the people who've used it, who, you know, are not necessarily fanboys of anything else, or at least are a little bit more objective in their opinion, or seemingly, they seem to say that Canon and Sony are kind of like number one or tie. They kind of go back and forth depending on who you ask. And Nikon is coming closer to them, but it's still firmly in the third place area. And so I hope that this is a substantial step up, and that this will be a good. Obviously, the Nikon Z8 is still extremely functional for like 99% of people, but it is like a flagship, or it is their flagship camera. So if they can get it on par with Canon and Sony, I think that that's a win for Nikon shooters. And considering that competition is a key to making all cameras better, I think that's great for any shooter of any mount. All right, let me go back over here to the comment section. All right, so I'm not seeing many more comments come in. I think that just means people are mostly listening. I'm going to go ahead and call it. I'm sorry that this is kind of a little bit of an odd setup. I'm hoping that maybe I'm going to be in Ho Chi Minh City for the next like week ish. So I might have one more one from this like apartment here. But ideally, I hope to get back home to Soc Tran, Vietnam, and I have better internet connection. I have way better lighting. I have two monitors to be able to like deal with the different situation. I appreciate the people who did show up, who stuck around and listened to me ramble. I wish that we were able to have a more back and forth conversation, but you can't always do that. You might not always want to do that. But I am going to call it a night. It's already 12:24 here, and it's a little bit lighter of a news week, so I don't want to just like ramble on more than I already do. But if you're here for the first time and you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. It really helps out. It helps out me with future sponsors and helps me, actually make a little bit of money from this channel, which it's obviously a nice thing to be able to make money doing something that you truly enjoy. So, anyways, until next time, hopefully, if you're watching on the playback, you can catch me live next time. Generally speaking, it's on Saturdays at 11:30 Central Standard Time. Until next time, peace.